Hi everyone, this is a 4-point play. This is Alberto from Manila. We have Samy on the line from Melbourne. We are two European friends who met in Melbourne and would love to talk about basketball. Once in a week, we talk about three
And one.
topics every single week. How are you, Samy? How are you this week?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm good. I had a very busy work day with a phone call which just finished literally 10 minutes ago. But we're
But
not
it's
here to talk
10:15
about
in
work.
Melbourne, so
Yeah, we're not
man,
here to talk about work, so who cares about that?
yeah.
I've also had some time to watch some game today, so looking forward to talking NBA again.
That's good. And you just starting, we're just working on our first source of income right now, the podcast, right?
Yeah, I'm totally looking at just leaving,
Yeah,
quitting my job as soon as this takes off. So yeah, definitely.
yeah. All right, man. So, you know,
What?
a lot has been happening in these 3 days since the last episode. Markel Foods, and obviously, as I said, a lot has been happening. Again, Golden State. But what I really wanted to talk about today, I wanted to start from one thing that we not just us, many other podcasters really talk about, and it's the Atlanta Hawks. I
Oh,
actually
okay.
watched their last game against the Clippers because I'm falling in love with the Clippers again and with
Hmm.
their
Hmm.
rookie Julius Alexander. But I also enjoyed watching Trey Young. And not only he's a really good rookie, they also have a really good new coach. They have another really good rookie who is Omari Spellman. They have Vince Carter, they have Jeremy Lin,
Is
John
Vince Carter
Collins.
a rookie?
Yeah, no, he's not a rookie. I don't think he hasn't been a rookie for the last 20 years. Torian Prince, they have Bramby. So it's quite and Alex Len has been playing quite well,
Yeah.
especially considering his first 3 seasons in Phoenix. So my question today, it's not a question. It's kind of, hey, let's talk about the Hawks. There's not much they can aim for this season. It's just getting to develop their two rookies plus a few sophomores, like Trey Young and John Collins, and see what peak they can actually get. Obviously, they will be tanking, especially from March onwards, but they're kind of developing the kind of culture that you need in the NBA to eventually succeed as a franchise. I'm not sure
Hmm.
you actually watch some games, but they're fun to watch. There's a lot of turnovers. There's a lot of like medium to average basketball, but it's a good team. It's much better than Cleveland, for example, or they're
Yeah.
playing much better than Phoenix. Just to say, and I think it has a lot to do with the coach as well. But I'll send you the ball. That's in your court. Tell me a little bit about the Hawks and what you think.
I like the Hawks. Look, I think certainly, I think there's been a shift in culture over the last few years, and since they have been in rebuild mode. Um, I do agree with you that they are starting to build from the ground up a winning culture, and they have a similar approach to what the Nets have done for the last couple of years. It's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. Yeah, everybody's excited to see the highlights of Trae Young, scoring 20 points a game and doing 10 or 15 or 17 assists, I think he had yesterday,
Yeah,
um,
17.
and shooting threes, further out than Steph Curry, not making a lot of them, actually making a decent amount for who he is. But I was actually more impressed with him. Uh, um, the when I saw him play, doing quite a few drives in the paint and attacking the rim and not just settling for outside shots. It's good to see from the rookie. They have, I think, yes, they are developing. John Collins is just coming back. I think they have high expectations from the sophomore. I think he has the potential to be a game changer in Atlanta and possibly be, I guess,
Wow, a game
a, found,
changer.
a founding block for the team to move forward. So No,
Nice.
they're not. They're not gonna compete for the playoffs. But they can be a fun team to watch and a good team to build on with Trae Young and John Collins. We spoke about this a few weeks ago when we were making comparisons on, I guess, the top three rookies and Ayton and Doncic and Trae Young. Comparisons are always going to be there, whether or not they should have traded for
Yeah.
Young, and or kept Doncic. Ultimately, I think that the difference right now is I would actually, well, the difference right now is minimal. I don't think over the long term it will have such an impact that people are going to say, well, you clearly made a mistake. Trae Young has the potential to be a really good player and a complete player, not just a three-point shooter. So we'll see. It's a long season. We're not even 20 games in. They've had 3 wins.
40, yeah.
So that's not a lot, but they've won against, just looking that up, they've won against Miami, they've won against Dallas, and they've won against the Spurs.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
wow,
man,
I
if
wasn't expecting that.
I think the one against the Spurs
Oh
in
no, Cleveland,
preseason.
preseason, yeah, against the Spurs.
I kind of had to disagree with you. And it's not a disagreement. What I'm saying is, Luka Doncic is something unique, and you can say it when he plays. It's something unique, not for the way he plays, not for. It's unique because he played 3 years of professional basketball, and you can tell that. Just watching Ayton, just watching Trae Young, they're very immature. They only play 1 year in college. They're
Yep.
very mature. They never played, under pressure. And whenever I see Trae Young or Ayton, and obviously you can say, hey, Alberto, you're partial. You love Luka Doncic. Fine. But they need to start. Well, at some point he said, this game, because he played against Embiid, and it's like, I got, he kicked my ass, but I'm just going to rewatch this game 20 times and I'm going to get the best out of it. And I'm going to practice and I'm going to get out of it and become a better player. And that's what I think Trae Young is going to do, and all of those rookies. That's where Doncic is way ahead. That's the kind of differential that he needs to use and take advantage of in the next few years, because this kind of discrepancy is going to shorten every year, because they're gonna play NBA, they're gonna play playoff games and whatnot. But Trae Young and Ayton are still very immature. Yesterday, Trae Young, it's not his fault that they were up 15 and they lost the game. But sometimes he just drove to the rim, and who was there? Like my friend Montreal Zarel, he blocked the shit out of him.
Trez. Just say Trez.
Like, yeah, a couple of times. I mean, they just need to learn, and that's what the NBA is for. But 1 year is fine, 2 years is fine. You gotta be lucky next year with the lottery. But I would say in 3 years, that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, look, I think every player develops differently, and you
Totally.
have some who may be more advanced when they enter, in the NBA, and some others who are a little bit more immature. I think a lot has to do with which franchise you're working in, how you personally you're going to develop your game as well, and what you make out of it. The raw product that I see in Trae Young is good, and I was actually one of the skeptics. I didn't think that he was going to be good, but so far I've been very positively impressed with what he's giving. You have to wait until you can't judge a player on 20 games or not even a quarter of the season. You have to give him 2 years, to me, or 3 years, to know who they are. And who knows, next year, maybe Doncic takes another leap, or maybe he kind of plateaus, and maybe Trae Young takes a leap.
Shut up, man. Shut up.
Wow,
Shut up. Don't say that.
Suddenly they're really good.
Don't say that. Don't hurt my feelings.
No, but who knows? I think you have the raw potential, which is there, and you see them at 19, at 18, 17, whatever, really young, 20. And, some really continue on this insane curve and they become really good superstars. But look at Donovan Mitchell, look at Jason Tatum. What conversations are we having right now where everyone's saying, well, they were really good last year, but this year they're slumping a little bit. They're not that great. Maybe we just get carried on. Maybe they're not that great, etc. I think we have to temper expectations where they probably over-delivered last year. They're still quite good. But we can't judge a player based on 20 games in, and it's the same for Luka. As much as I know you love him, and I'm sorry, but who knows what he's going to be? So,
I mean, let's do this as a second topic, okay? Because it's so big. Let's talk about Luka Doncic again.
We can't talk about him every 2 weeks. Huh?
All right. Let's use, I actually saw this discussion on Reddit. Can you tell me what sophomore has actually improved versus last year?
The Aaron Fox.
The Aaron Fox. I think. Yeah, and just give me another one.
I would need to look up the list of them.
It's difficult to say, and you know why? Maybe because last year they overachieved, or because they are shit like Markel. But if you have a look at the 2017 draft and their performance this year versus last year, it's very difficult because so I'm looking at it now. Markel Fultz down, Lonzo Ball equal, Jason Tatum down, Josh Jackson down, De'Aaron Fox up, Jonathan Isaac, he's playing quite well.
Yeah.
Mark Cannon, he hasn't played. Tinkilina down, absolutely, awful. Maybe Malik Monk is doing well. Donovan Mitchell down, Adebayo so. John Collins hasn't played. Terrence Ferguson so. Jarrett Allen, yeah, but
you're
right.
Anunoby.
Oh, Anunoby, you're right. Josh Hart as well. But you know what? You're absolutely right. I agree with you. You gotta be patient. You gotta be patient. And the thing and again, I'm sorry, I'm monothematic. Like I always talk about Luka. But playing 3 years of basketball, like I watched him playing against Golden State, I don't think that Luka Doncic is gonna be a top 3 ever. But the advantage that he has in these first 2 years is going to help him so much with the reputation. And you know what? He needs to play up to that level of expectations because everyone's going to expect so much from him. And I don't know what his ceiling is going to be in the next, from the third year onwards. I don't know what his ceiling is going to be. Maybe he's, he's going to mature up until next year. And then who knows? While the others, because, he's played 3 years, he's won the Champions League of basketball. I don't know what it's called. He's won with Slovenia the Eurobasket. He's won MVP. He's won the EuroLeague at 18.
No, look, I know, but it's you have to compare it to college players who spend 2 or 3 years in college, and when they arrive in the NBA, they also have more maturity than the ones who may not necessarily have spent that much time in college, so or at university. So I'm not exactly sure how it all works. But I guess all I'm saying is, definitely Doncic is more mature, and at 19 it's incredible. And if I'm being honest with myself, I also have high expectations, and I think he can become one of the great in the league. But we don't know yet, and I'm cautious now of not expecting too much from rookies or saying that they're going to be great when give them 3 seasons, and the third season usually you have a good idea of what they're going to be.
So in 5 years from now, who's going to be the best rookie, the best 2018 rookie?
I don't know. It might be Doncic. I don't know. I really love Jaren Jackson. I think he has really strong fundamentals.
Man, he's good. I had no idea. Like he's tall, he's long, and he's playing well for the Grizzlies.
I think that, you know, a guy like Marvin Bagley, for instance, has athletic potential. He clearly hasn't shown anything really so far, but who knows where it's going to be. I think, you know, the other part is the mental. Like, how do you cope with the expectations of you being a number one pick or number three pick or whatever, and all that pressure. And this is going to test some people. The good thing about Doncic is that he's already been through that. In Europe, he was one of the biggest, you know, basketball players ever in Europe at the age of 19. How it's insane that this kid already has, I guess, the toughness and the mental resilience to play at such a high level at his age. And that's something that you can't you can't really work on it. It's not a skill that you're going to gain by practicing. Some people are just going to get better and more used to, you know, working in the NBA, etc. But you can already feel that Doncic is ready for the bigger stage. You put him in the NBA finals, you know he's going to deliver.
He's a bigger, and listen to this exaggeration. He's a bigger John Stockton. Because he looks like an accountant.
Yeah, that's called a Magic Johnson.
Yeah, he looks like an accountant. And man, he looks like a 7-Eleven employee. And I watched the last quarter against the Warriors, and he was going against KD like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna have this piece of cake, and I'm gonna win the game."
Amazing, right?
Yeah, kidding me? Like he's so good, but at the same time, you're right. There are so many rookies, and I'm getting more and more excited. But I also wanna ask you a sub question into this topic. What do you think of the and one rule? I don't know if it's called
and one. The one and done.
One and done. Yeah. What do you think about? Because right now they are developing this new rule in the NBA where if you don't get drafted, you have the opportunity, or if you don't want to go to college, you get the opportunity to go to the G League and get paid up to 125K. And actually today, Adam Silver announced that Rod Strickland, the previous point guard of the Washington Bullets, now Wizards, but Bullets, is going to be responsible for that process. So what do you think? What would you do? What would you do with your kid if your kid was good enough? And it also depends, you know, lots of these guys, they are financially very unstable, you know, families where maybe the dad is not there, the mom's not there. What do you think?
I think I like the approach that the NBA is taking on this, where they, you know, the development via the G League or via international leagues has a little bit more professionalism to it, as opposed to being college players, not supposed to being paid, but still being marketed, quite a lot. I don't know, you know, college basketball is quite huge in the US, and this obviously would have an impact on that and their revenue, and I think they need to find a way for it to work for everyone.
But they can't get paid, so that's what they're also realizing. Like, why is Kentucky getting 15, 20 million revenue each year from the games I'm playing, and I'm not getting anything? And my coach, Rick Pitino, is getting 8 million a year. 20 million is not even the exact amount. I don't know what the amount is. But you know,
it's a business. It's a business. So
it's a business,
and college basketball has become a business on players who are not part of that business, and that's the big issue here. So
and they realize that. So
what the NBA is doing, I think, is trying to prevent this from happening. All I'm saying is that it will have an impact on college basketball, which I'm not sure as a business and even within how this is going to be received within the NBA. College basketball is not that big outside of the US, not as big as what the NBA is, for instance. So internationally, it may not have that many consequences. And I would much rather have a prospect in the G League, possibly, you know, for as an NBA scout or an NBA team to see him develop and see what it's like before they can join my team. Rather than having them in college. But at the same time, college basketball is so big that you're not going to take that away either just instantly with one rule. by changing one rule. So they have to be aware of it, and they have to find a way to make it work for both parties. How does that look? I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
agree
don't know
with
that.
that. That's something that they need to look into. Okay, man. I'm shooting my third topic. Are you ready?
Go.
So, um, I'm looking at the standings. Portland Trail Blazers 12-5, Memphis Grizzlies 11-5, Los Angeles Clippers who actually lost today and they were leading by 24.
Yeah, to the surging Washington Wizards. Everything is
Yeah,
solved. They're going to
yeah,
be the greatest team ever.
exactly. And Sacramento Kings 9-8, even Dallas if you want 7-9. And then I'm having a look at the Charlotte Hornets 8-8, Orlando Magic 9-9, the Nets 8-10. What's happening to the NBA? Is it getting more balanced? Obviously, the discrepancy between the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference is still massive. But what's happening? Why are
You
these?
think? You think so?
Oh, man, it's big.
I think at the top level, if you take
Oh no,
Milwaukee, Toronto,
I'm having that's a holistic point of view. Have a look. And maybe you're looking at the top, and I agree with you. I'm looking at the bottom because it's easier. Because it's easier if you have 4 or 5 teams like in the Eastern Conference that are doing shit and they're definitely gonna tank. Whereas in the Western Conference, there's one team who's gonna tank, and that's the Phoenix Suns, and all of the others are in between. You know, they're playing for the playoffs. So.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Western Conference, every night you can lose, every night you can win. And the Sacramento Kings apparently are good. My question to you is, what is happening? Like, is the NBA getting more balanced or better? Or are the bigger teams, like, obviously, we think, the first team I can think about is Golden State Warriors, the Thunder, the Rockets as well. They didn't start very well this year. What's happening? Is it LeBron moving to the Western Conference? What's that? Why? And also, if you think about it, the Eastern Conference, we got Toronto, we got Milwaukee, and Indiana. Boston is 6th. Cleveland, silent.
Yeah, where's Cleveland? Yeah, I don't know. They're out of the league.
So what's going on? Are we at the beginning of a new NBA, or you tell me, man?
I'm going to be boring again, but I'm going to say patience.
It's 20 games.
Exactly. It's still too early to say.
You sound like my girlfriend.
Don't make these crazy comments before Christmas. Remember, Orlando Magic were top of the league last year to start the season. I
that was 4-0.
Remember the record, but
that was 4 games.
But really, was that all? Anyway,
yeah, that was 4 games.
It was still a story where people were saying, "What's happening? The Orlando Magic! Wow, no one saw that team coming." Even today, I mean, I listened to our competitors and other podcasts and Zach Lowe. He's totally our competitor.
Direct competitor.
And he was saying, "Oh, I would never have bet on Memphis being at that level, etc." I'm like, yeah. Because last year they were really bad. They're just one injury away from being bad again. And we have to be realistic about that. And Mike Conley and Mark Gasol may be good, but they might also just be playing above what their what their actual level is.
Have you watched any Memphis game?
Not much, I must say.
Man,
I haven't watched much.
It feels like it's 2014 again.
But I would certainly understand that they have a chip on their shoulder. But don't tell me that suddenly, Houston is going to be not that great of a team. I think, it's the beginning of the season. Everyone has high expectations and everyone wants to win every game. Wait until December, and then we might see a shift. We'll see more injuries. Unfortunately, this is part of the game. It will shift what some teams are doing. But I think every night, and I think this is true, although every team can win every game, regardless of who they're playing. You can have Atlanta beat Golden State if they're in a bad day, they're playing their 5th game in 4th game in 5 days or whatever. This can happen. The level of competition within the NBA is overall very high. So yes, it's normal, and you always have outliers. You always have teams, supposedly bad teams beating good teams. I think this is still too small of a sample for me to say this team is for real, that team is for real.
Okay, so I agree
apart from Toronto, really, because they're for real.
I agree with you, but what I'm trying to say is last year, after 20 games, I don't know what the record was, but you already knew that Golden State and Houston were up, and I think Boston was up. I don't know, Toronto, but hey, you know what?
But what you think Memphis is going to win 50 games? You think Memphis is going to win 60 games? That's not going to happen.
No. I'm just maybe I haven't explained myself well in the question. Is
you said
maybe this yeah, because I'm Italian. Maybe this year there's not gonna be more than 2 teams to 60 wins.
It's possible. They're changing the rule as well for the lottery and the draft. I think it's this year that it comes into play, where every team has more teams have more odds of getting the number one pick. Sorry, so there's less incentive to tank. So it makes sense that more teams are competing and going for I guess to be in the playoffs.
All right, man. All right, I'll give it to you. And I'll also give it to you. There's a 3-pointer and there's a foul, so the end one is yours. I look forward to your question.
Good. Well, with you, I think it's a really good transition because you were talking about, I guess, how the NBA is getting more balanced, and we have teams supposedly being bad who are good and competing. But there's one team which is not competing and in complete shambles, even though they came back from 24-point deficit today, which is the Washington Wizards. Now, my question to you on the Wizards, I guess I don't think I need to explain everything about what they've been. Their record is really bad for their expectations where they are. They're 6-11. They have a huge payroll. John Wall's Supermax contract kicks in next year. He's going to be paid close to, I think, 45 or 48 million in his 5th year of his contract. It's an insane amount of money for a guy who's going to be just over 30 by then, I think. I think no one could have seen it coming when they signed the contract, because I think it was just after they had made the conference final or semi-finals or the conference finals.
Yeah.
And so they were certainly the team that everyone was saying was going to be so good. Since then, they haven't been that great. And this season, it's even worse. Dwight Howard returning did not solve any problems. Surprise, surprise. So there are significant concerns. There's been lots of talks about who's going to be traded and how Bradley Beal is the most, trade-friendly contract, and Otto Porter and John Wall cannot be really moved. But my question to you is, what do you think the atmosphere is in the locker room for all the big red players that no one talks about? The Austin Rivers, let me look at the roster. The Dwight Howard as well.
Morris,
Kelly Oubre Jr. Thomas Satoransky.
So you're asking me, what do you think is happening in the locker room?
Well, how do you think these guys are? Perceiving this and I guess be motivated to play every day when there is so much attention on their big three, I guess, John Wall, Beal and Otto Porter. But yet you still have a job to do as an NBA player. Ultimately, you're being paid to do a job.
You have a job to do, but when something like this happens, then unless you are the one who's sneaking information, to the left and to the right, or you're the one who's not who's not practicing well, and that's not gonna impact a lot because the issue is at the top. So Ernie Granfield, their GM, has been there for 20 years. I read this stat where the other GMs that have been for 20 years are like Popovich and a couple more that right now I can remember because I always said I don't know much about basketball. But I wouldn't be bothered. It looks like Austin Rivers doesn't really give a shit. It's like I'm not someone who's gonna fit in. I'm just here to win. Scott Brooks, I never liked Scott Brooks, honestly. Like, he's been good at delivering in OKC until a certain point. I'm not a big fan, but these players, they are selfish, man. And that's happening everywhere else in the NBA. It's just about the top. And by top, I mean the management and the coaching staff. And the top two players. If the management is really bad, and it is in this case, and the coach is really bad, and it is in this case, and the top player is someone like John Wall, who's not been playing well, and you give such a big contract to Otto Porter, who's played really well last year, but still, you know that Bradley Beal is out there and he's gonna get this contract. Like, it's like the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's like in every single business, you need to have clear expectations of what you're gonna do and a clear strategy, and you need to trust the process, like Philadelphia did.
Then you can't quote that every week, man.
I know, but is that gonna work? I don't know, but at least everyone's on the same page. What is the page on the Wizards? What page do I need to be on? And you're right. Like, how can you give 50 million to John Wall? They're actually giving 50 million to fucking Russell Westbrook, and who's gonna get it in 3 or 4 years? And you know what? That's a bet. That's a big risk. And it's Russell Westbrook. And giving it to John Wall, someone who hasn't been at the top of his fitness, someone who's not, like really good with his 3 points, and at the end of the day, they reached the semifinal. That's all they have. They never got to the
and at the
final.
time, again, when they gave him the contract, it made sense. No one at the time said, "Oh, this is a bad contract." So we have to, recognize, I guess, when we were wrong as well.
You were wrong. I wasn't.
But yeah, same for Westbrook. It made sense to pay him the supermax, but 3 years from now we may have a very different conversation where we say, why did they do that?
Washington is gonna fix everything, okay? With two things. First of all, Washington is only 2.5 games away from the 8th seed, and to be honest, if we get to March and April and I'm Milwaukee or Indiana and I have to play Washington, I wouldn't be too happy. With the 2nd or 3rd seed, I wouldn't be too happy. And then, you know what?
Yeah, everything can happen in the playoffs,
Where do you think J.R. Smith is going to go? To the Wizards. That's the perfect situation, perfect scenario. What a match, man. That's a perfect fit.
So you don't think... So, hold on. The message that the management has sent is everyone is tradable. You don't think that they make a trade in the next few weeks?
And they will, and they're going to make a big mistake, which is not like a mistake that they're going to do now. It's a result of mistakes that they've done before. They're going to trade Bradley Beal, and Bradley Beal is quite good. Bradley Beal is quite good. He's younger. He's much better than Otto Porter. Otto Porter is more versatile. Bradley Beal is more, more threes. He's
Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson
with a dribble, with a better dribble and better assist rates.
They're gonna make that mistake, and because of how weak the GM is and the management is, the team who's gonna trade for them is gonna get a steal. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And then the team is gonna fall down probably. But again, if I'm number 2, number 3,
do they just trade Beal or they trade other guys?
They trade Beal. They're probably gonna waive Dwight Howard. They're gonna waive Austin Rivers or trade for
So
Austin
they're
Rivers.
going full rebuild.
Yeah.
What do they do with John Wall? You can't
They keep
rebuild
him.
with an aging
They keep
point
him.
guard. Wow,
They keep
interesting.
jump and you know and also what about Kelly Oubre versus Otto Porter? Kelly Oubre is also I think is his third year if I'm not mistaken. So they need to think about him as well. What are they gonna
Yeah.
do with him? So let's talk again in March, April, or July next year because Washington is gonna be different. And you know what? Their name, the Wizards, is shit. They should get back to the Bullets. The Wizards.
A lot of my friends have been saying that too. But yeah, Bullets was nice.
Do you know why they got
But
rid of
we
Bullets?
can't live in the past. You have to move forward. I'm sorry, Alberto. You have to move forward.
Thanks, man. You sound a lot like my girlfriend. You're like, oh, you're so impatient, and oh, you don't need to live in the past. You need to move forward. Like,
Hold on, I thought I was your girlfriend, your NBA girlfriend.
Yeah, man. You definitely are. You definitely are.
All right, cool.
All right, man.
That was fun.
That was a good talk. And I know I have a question for you. Are you ready for it?
I am. So you have to explain first. So the bet.
Oh yeah.
You have bets. Yeah.
Go for it. Go for it.
No, you go. You go.
So we have weekly bets, and at the end of the year, just to conclude, to terminate the podcast every week, and at the end of the year, we're just gonna have a look at it, and whoever wins gets a trip to the NBA Finals. Is that?
Now, whoever wins has to pay for the other one's flight tickets as well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, my question, we haven't said
that's only if we make money from the podcast, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. So, just a quick commercial. Think. You really need to think in your life, and if you want to think, this is the best way to think. Buy Think. The code is SM Samy Monir AS Alberto Samy. Now, jokes aside, where is J.R. Smith going?
Is he reuniting with LeBron in LA?
No. All right, can I? No. Just give me one answer because this is
I know,
serious, man.
Thinking about it. Damn.
He's got a $450 million contract this year and a $60 million contract next year. Are you kidding? Who's gonna fucking trade for
15 million? 15?
I think it's 14 this year and 15 next year, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure who has cap space, and I think Philly would have had a look at him if they hadn't signed Butler. Maybe they still look at him. Maybe Philly.
Yeah.
He wants to be on a winning team. I think Philly is, active on the market, and they want to make sure that they get to the finals.
And he hasn't been playing well, but you know what?
I'm gonna go with Philly.
That's your decision. I think Cleveland needs to hire Sean Marks, who's not Sean Marks. What's the
Bobby Marks?
Bobby Marks, exactly, like the salary cap expert, because they need to get out of this situation, this salary. They need to waive him somehow and drop him.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's going to Philadelphia. I was going to ask you, where do you think Markel is going? But hey, we got one question per week. Thank you so much. Thanks so much, dude.
Thanks, everyone.
It's going to be a great week. Next, the one starting tomorrow is going to be a great week. We got LeBron going back to Cleveland.
Yes.
Who's
another 50 points game?
Another 50-point game. Let's see if they're going to boo him. George Hill actually said everyone's going to boo LeBron. He's an asshole. And he's a Cleveland.
You dropped off for a second.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't think he's going to get booed. I think he's going to get standing ovation.
Yeah, I think so. And some boos in the background.
No one will hear them. It was great to talk to you again, man.
Likewise. And just because you're a Laker, it doesn't mean that you can't boo LeBron.
Yeah. I will boo him all the time.
All right, man. Have a good week.
It was a pleasure. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Enjoy.